everyone, I'm Becky.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're doing Bickering book reviews. Today we're talking about The Stars Beneath Our Feet by David Barclay Moore. And I got this book through NetGalley, and Sarah had...
I had an ER. I had a regular arc.
This book is about Lolly, who's 12 years old, and he lives in the Bronx, and his brother Jermaine had just recently passed away. He was shot in a possible gang-related... I feel like they never really come out. Anyway... And he hasn't really been able to process that. And then his mother's girlfriend gives him a gift of these Legos. And he has all these Legos, and he starts to build things. And while he builds things, it kind of helps him process and move on. And he creates this universe. And at his after-school program where he's working on building these Lego creations, he makes connections with a girl named Rose, who is on the autism spectrum. And they build together, and they kind of move past things. And that's the very basic, without giving much away. So I had a mixed reaction to this book.
I did too. Like, I liked what it was trying to do. I think some things needed to be developed a little bit more. But I liked that it exists. I liked the message. I liked where it was going.
And, I know some of the issues, there's this part in the middle of the book where all of a sudden, instead of being 12, he's 14, and he's behaving in a way that doesn't go with the rest of the character. And I found it very confusing, but I don't know if it was an issue with the E-arc or...
It might just be the arc, because I was also really confused on, the makeup of his family. Who is... I didn't know if Yvonne is the mother's, girlfriend, or if or Yvonne is the mother's friend who is a girl.
So when I took it to be her actual girlfriend, because
that's what I kind of thought.
Father talks about leaving.
That's what I thought about, but it kind of goes back and forth. And then there was another part in there that really confused me, because it was talking about how when she used to be my dad, and I'm like, wait a minute, is somebody transitioned? I'm really confused as of how this all fits together.
I don't remember that. That had been a typo in the art.
Maybe it is, and so maybe they'll clear that up when it comes out on
unfortunately
physical shelves. But yeah, it was really kind of hard to know how the family fit together. So that kind of stumbled me up through the first half of the book. But once you kind of get past that, then I really kind of got into the story and was interested.
Because I really liked Lolly. I thought he was a good character. I thought he was well developed. I think a lot of kids could see themselves in him. And he was going through this very painful moment in his life, and he was trying to deal with it, and that felt very real.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and yeah.
Part of my problem, though, is I felt like the book was trying to deal with a lot of really important issues, which we need out there, and I felt like they were trying to be edgy, and they would get just up to that line of edginess, but weren't willing to step over. And maybe that's because they were aiming for middle grade or whatever, but it just didn't quite fit together well for me.
Yeah, I think certain pieces needed to kind of flow better. But I think it did, but it dealt with a lot of issues that you really don't, it dealt with a lot of issues in a way that you don't see in a lot of other books. For example, I think the way that the counselor treats Lolly is very kind of harsh, and maybe it's realistic kind of in that environment. But,
maybe.
He point blank tells Lolly, you need to get over it. You need to get over the fact that your brother died. And I'm thinking, Lolly is super depressed. You don't tell somebody who's super depressed that point blank. But maybe in that environment, that's how it works. I don't know. But I also like the fact that they included an autistic main character. You don't see that a lot of times in African American fiction, or at least I haven't read an autistic main character in other books. And
Moore did a lot of really this is a really well done diversity book without being we're making a diversity book, because you have the mother who is a lesbian, and you have the neighbor who is Hispanic, and you have our main character who's African American, and you had Rose who was on the spectrum. And I like it when they're able to do that without it feeling forced.
Right, and it didn't feel forced at all. It was really good. It was really well done, and it was.
So we should just rate it.
Okay.
So our rating system starts with 5 unicorns, goes down to 2 unicorns. If we don't like it, it's just a horse, because it's not sparkly and awesome and run on rainbows. I'm gonna give The Stars Beneath Our Feet 3 unicorns. I liked it, but it just didn't quite get there for me.
I'm going to give it 3 unicorns, and I actually think it would have done better as a graphic novel. I want to see this, fully illustrated. Barclay really described it well, but I want to see it full illustrations.
I think particularly his Lego creations would have been better with that different format.
It would rock a graphic novel format. So. All right, that's kind of where we're at with it, so have a great day.
Bye.